That was a bit clumsy. Hi, I am Cager on two wheels, and here I am on my usual commute to work again. I have two topics to talk about today, so I think I'll just make two vlogs and then just discard the footage and never show you anything, as usual. No, two things. First one, which I don't know, could be this one, is that I'm getting my driver's license. I've been postponing it because I didn't have the available cash, and as soon as we as a family had enough cash, my wife decided that I should, and she would gladly spend the money for me to get my driver's license so I could get a slightly bigger bike. It was kind of a gift, but since the money we just pile it up into one big pot. Yeah, it was a gift. Yeah, she paid for my driver's license. You can think of it like that. So yeah, I'm getting my driver's license, license to ride a motorcycle. I hate this. These two bends are horrible. Sorry for the intermission. Trucks pass here, and so the middle is completely filled with oil, and so it's very slippery. It's the few turns where you cannot lean over much because you will slip. I've seen cars crash there just from turning at this speed. Just hit the center line, which is filled with oil, and off they go. So onwards. Yeah, so I'm getting my riding, I'll just call it driver's license, even though I'm not driving. Okay. I found a place where it was less ridiculously expensive, because I have a car driving license, which is around 500 euros here. It's over the minimum wage, so don't even try laughing saying, oh, that's so cheap. Okay, it's over the minimum wage to get your car driving license, and for the bike the price is usually around the same. And the most retarded thing is that if you already have a car driving license, you only have to do 4 theoretical lessons and, I don't know, 10, 16 practical lessons, something like that. It's a lot less, and even so the price is basically the same. So I found a non-stupid school which made me pay about half of what's normal for my riding license, since I already have the car and the number of classes is very small. I've done my theoretical lessons, just waiting for the appointment to go do my theoretical test, which should not be that hard. But the thing I wanted to talk to you about 15 minutes ago, that guy said hi and I did not respond, so now I feel like an idiot, is that my practical lessons are a bit, well, different. I'll show you 4 little vids of the 4 first lessons. They are very long. They're just dumps from the GoPro. No editing, nearly no editing whatsoever. One's going to be here, 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 and here. And so I'll explain. You'll click on those later, I hope. If you didn't, well, welcome back. So, why are they different? Well, on the first lesson, I went to fill up the bike. It was out of fuel, so I rode about, I don't know, 5 to 10 kilometers with very little previous instruction, since I already knew how to ride. Just got the basics, as if the same basics you get when you buy a new motorcycle from the dealer. Here's the clutch, here are the indicators, the horn is here, the signal light is here, and whatnot. And then off I went. And then after filling up the bike and getting some feel of it, and the instructor watching me from the mirror, who was in front, we went to an abandoned parking lot where he showed me how to counter steer properly, and a few other things. Now the weird part was that he did this with him driving and me on the pillion seat, which was a bit interesting, let's say. Because on the parking lot going about 10 kilometers per hour, which is like 10 miles an hour in second gear, he basically leaned the bike over completely. And by completely I mean, afterwards he showed me, he asked me, so did you feel the bike leaning over? See how it doesn't slip even if you are at extreme lean angles? It's not going to fall, it's not going to go anywhere, even over a bit of sand and dirt and twigs and rocks. And I said, yeah. And now let's go look at the tire. And the tire was scraped all the way to the edge, so he did not leave anything on the anything left on the tire. There were absolutely no chicken strips whatsoever. And that was to show me that no matter how much I leaned the bike, I wasn't going to slip or fall. And then I went to practice about 25 minutes around the parking lot, doing turns and turns and turns and turns. Well, it's a bit unorthodox, and I was scared shitless, to be honest, especially when he gets to a really tight spot with sand on the ground. Not sand, like dirt. Like dirt from there, crap that gets blown over by the wind. And since it was a corner, it was very dirty, and he just leans over the bike completely and just goes around the corner as normal. Yeah, so I was scared, and that was cool. It actually works, because from then on I knew, even if it felt like I was leaning too much, it was not going to tip over, it was not going to slide. He did it, and he wasn't doing anything magical, so could I. And actually worked. And on that first lesson I leaned the bike over more than I have ever leaned this one. And I have already found myself at much bigger lean angles, not much bigger, but bigger lean angles on this bike than I have ever done before. I have done previous to this around 30 degrees, 35 at most, and I think I've gone up to the 40s. He did warn me that on my bike, because the tires are much thinner, I can't lean over so much. The maximum should be around 45 to 50 degrees, maybe. And that bike, the Hornet, does easily 60 degrees or sometimes more. 5 degrees may not look like much, but it feels like a hell of a lot more. So yeah, that was different. Second class was also very different, because we have a radio as normal, and as soon as I start, I hear on the radio, so ready for some twisties? Twisties? What? And off we went into the mountains. The idea was to consolidate what I had learned on the first one. So I went to, it's not quite the local biker alley, but it was close. It's some twisties, not as aggressive, that go there. We weren't going fast, obviously, but it was good to get a feel of the bike without having to worry about cars and such. It was a very long ride. It's like that Sunday drive you like to go when you don't want to be too aggressive. You don't quite go into the mountains, you just take advantage of a few of the twisties nearby. And yeah, so that was the second lesson. I was very happy with that one, because it was an awesome little ride. I loved it, and I really got a new feel for the bike. At the end of it, I was much more confident in turning and such. Third lesson was emergency braking, which was also different, because once again I was on the pillion seat at the start, and he showed me how to and how not to brake. I'll actually make a small series with this to pass on the knowledge, because I've noticed that many people don't seem to know this. But you know, the front brake has a little click. When you press it, after a few millimeters, it clicks. Well, that first click is this oil pump being activated, and you should respect the click. Always respect the click, because if you just grab a handful of brake like this when you get scared, what's going to happen is you're going to brake so hard, but really so hard, you're going to build up so much pressure before this oil pump is activated that it just completely slams on the brakes and instantly locks up your front wheel, and you are very likely to simply tip over and fall and die. And he showed me this with me on the pillion seat. I would like to say I wasn't scared, but I nearly crapped myself. Actually, it was as soon as he hit that, he said, well, I'm going to do that. I was, no, 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 no. As soon as he hit that, the whole bike shuddered as if it had ABS, because the front wheel just locked up and skipped along the ground. Just went tunk, 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 tunk. It was really odd. I've done this also on this bike on my backyard at about 5 kilometers per hour. He did it about 40, and we didn't tip over and we didn't fall. He told me why, because if you lock up your front wheel and you are perfectly straight and you maintain your balance, basically you stay very still, you can survive that, especially if you release the brake immediately, meaning the wheel starts turning again and you're back in the game. And so he did that about once or twice to show me how not to do it, and then we went through a series of emergency brakes just so I could get the feel of how much I can brake. The first few were progressive, just front brake, then front and rear brake. No, just rear brake first, which takes forever. Just front brake, which is aggressive. Then front and rear brake, which is much better. It just feels like you're nearly hitting a wall, like you're hitting something like a sponge or something. It just stops. And then everything plus engine braking, which feels as if you've just slammed into a wall. It just stops. It's awesome. And after a few of these and warming up the tires and showing me that one of the sides of the parking lot where we were didn't have nearly as much grip as the other, I went to work. And off I went. A few instructions here and there. Don't lock up the rear wheel, less pressure on the rear wheel, slower on the gears, faster on the gears, stuff like that. And actually at the end I could brake much better than I have ever braked before, and I can brake Tiny Wings much better. If you're new to this, Tiny Wings is my bike, because you see two Tiny Wings here. And this is not the correct time to be removing my hands from the handlebar, because this guy has no idea what he's doing. This one does, that one doesn't. Oh, someone crashed. He's okay. He's standing up, he's okay. Crashed or malfunctioned. So yeah, that was the third one, which was also odd. I didn't know, and I don't think it's very usual for the instructor to ride the bike while the instructee rides pillion, but hey, this works. This seems to be working. I can now brake much better. It's he said several times during theoretical classes that bikes brake better than cars, but the rider must know how to brake to be able to brake better than the cars. And I knew that I had to be good to be able to brake hard on the bike. You can't just slam on the brakes like on a car. But I didn't quite believe him that my bike could brake better than a car, because the tire is much smaller, and there's only 2 of them instead of 4, and you can only basically brake with 1 instead of 4-ish. I didn't really believe. Now I believe, because now I can brake this little tiny bike with its 80mm front tire better than a car, thanks to some odd instruction. And on to the 4th lesson. This one was the oddest by far and the scariest. The 4th lesson was once again the twisties up to the base of Biker Alley, and then we switched over, and he said, okay, I'm going to show you how to apply all these techniques: counter steer, braking, softly, gently, smoothly actually is the word I'm trying to find, smoothly, and how it all works together and what you can do with all these techniques. And I'm only going to use these techniques and nothing more. And so off I went into the pillion seat, and I'm a very nervous pillion because I do not like not being in control. Even if I don't have the same control, I hate not being in control in the vehicle, so I am a very nervous passenger and very nervous pillion. And off we went at a speed that to me felt like, oh my god, we're going to die right now. Actually, we're going at 70, 80 and 90 kilometers per hour, which is speeds I've done on this one on the same place, not quite on the same turns. We were going faster on the turns, but not much faster. At the time I felt like I was going way too fast, and I was scared shitless after reviewing the footage and catching glimpses of the speedo every now and then, I've noticed that we were going just slightly faster than I go, so it was basically almost a relaxed ride. Even though for instruction he leaned the bike over a lot in some turns, very much a lot. And he showed me counter steering, showed on some of the turns are a turn and counter turns, so you really need to counter steer to bring the bike up and then down on the opposite side quickly. And he showed me that you can brake on the turn with the front wheel relatively hard, quickly changing lines in the middle of the turn because of cyclists and stuff like that. What the fuck are these guys doing? Oh god, that's just okay. So yeah, that was very scary. Then we get to the top and I go, oh god, thank god. And then we go down slightly faster. A few other techniques, it's the same thing, it's just slightly smoother, faster, and other things. And then we get to the bottom of the hill and he goes, okay, now we're going to do, felt that those were slow turns, now we're going to do 3 fast turns. And off we went. And I can say it was a novel experience, going almost twice the speed limit as a pillion with the instructor. I was going 160 kilometers per hour. 162 is what I saw on the speedo. Go, 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 go. 162 is what I saw on the speedo. And then we braked from 160 to 100 to make the turn in what felt like 20 centimeters. And then 3 fast turns at 100, 110 and 90, and the speed limit is like 90. And then some small instruction on the riding line, wides, go enter wide, 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 and then only close the turn at the end. Some other things like don't do a very aggressive line because the car can be cutting the corner in front of you and will clip you. Always leave some space, always leave a lot of room to brake and change lines, so always be comfortable even if you're having fun. Never go on the absolute limit, things like that. But I can tell you at the end of that I was scared shitless, so we stood next to the bike talking and explaining some things for a while so I could relax, and then we went back home. That was a very weird one. I think from now on it's going to be a bit more conventional, but because I think we have covered the basics. For the very last little bit, it was an emergency brake from 130, which is 40 kph over the speed limit there, to nearly stopped as fast as possible using front, rear and engine brake. That was the least harrowing part of it, because I had done that almost as hard and I knew what was happening, and it was relatively cool, even though it was very violent. So yeah, that's it. Oh, the bike is a Honda Hornet 600 and I really enjoy riding that one. It's very heavy, it's very different from this one. This feels like a bicycle next to it, so it's a really different world. And this vlog is now long as hell, so I'm just gonna go and log out. Okay, you're out.